Time is something you just can't buy, and it's oh so short on a summer's morning. You can feel it slipping away, running like sand through your fingers. You know that's the feeding time. I've got maybe 2 or 3 hours to maximise, and if I don't catch a fish, I could be waiting another 24 hours. But maybe the shortness of it all is what makes it special, and for those short couple of hours, I'm a millionaire really. It's such a wonderful place to be. The dawn chorus starts, the fish wake up, the odd head and shouldering, ripples coming into my bank. It's everything that you read about, everything that you dream about on a summer's morning when the carp are around you. There's fizzing, there's bubbling, and I'm sitting there expectant. At any moment that bobbin's going to smack against the blank and the alarm's going to roar into life. Bad news. I've lost one, and I really didn't want to do that. I've got a window of opportunity in these warm conditions, and it might only be 2 or 3 hours, and to lose one in the morning might mean I don't get another chance for 24 hours. Just got me in a weed bed and eventually they were pulled, but hey, that's summer carping, sometimes it just happens. It's a bit of a rush now. I've got my rig back on, gonna get the rod back out. Hopefully the disturbance wasn't too much, and yeah, the carp will creep back before the sun creeps up, so let's see. The beauty of this venue is I genuinely don't know the stock. I don't think anyone does. It's all a surprise. It's a real chocolate box, but I'm told that the commons outnumber the mirrors by a considerable number. So hopefully the aim is to catch a few lovely commons. Maybe they'll build up in size and I'll get some nice ones, and I certainly won't mind that. But I would really dearly love to catch a nice mirror out of here. So fingers crossed, that's the aim. Very good boy. I like bites like that. Well, after losing that fish a little while ago, I was pretty tense, hoping for another bite. Dawn brings with it so much hope, but also the clock is ticking. I don't think it's a particularly big fish, but what surroundings. These days, I search for solace much more than specimens, and you won't find it any better than you will find it here. Hey, Mr. Common, in you come. Nice to meet you this morning. I'm only fishing one rod. I don't want to put too many lines in the water. I can quickly reel in and move, and I've actually got 3 or 4 spots baited all along the bank. If I see some bubbling occurring in any one of those spots, I'm going to quickly reel in, nip up, cast onto it, maybe steal an extra fish, and then I can always come back. I'm not making a lot of disturbance. It's not like I've got to position 3 rods again, 3 leads crashing down. And I think that flexibility of that approach can really score, certainly early mornings when you can move up and down and actually track the fish and try and hunt them down really. You just don't know what's going to come in. I mean, this could be absolutely anything. From £4 to £44, or anywhere in between. It could be a lever, it could be a common, fully scaled, zip linear, and I think that's wonderful. There's a lot of vegetation in the lake and it all wants to steal my carp away from me. The key there is to be alert at all times, get on the rod as quickly as possible, and then not bully it, not play it overly hard, but I don't want to be soft with them. If they can bury down deep, get down to where the roots are, it's a lot tougher. If you can keep them up near the surface layers, dump the lead and keep them high in the water. So I don't want to give them too much slack. I want to keep on top of them, keep them up high. Come on, keep coming. And even when they reach the margins, that's certainly not a time to relax. A carp will know every nook and cranny of its home. And if there's a big stick, a twig, a branch in the water down in the margins, it will certainly try and find it and certainly try and wrap you around it. Turn your head one more time, come on. And that's it. Lovely way to spend the morning. Creeping around, casting at bubblers. Let's have a little look at you. Now, thanks for the run around. A couple of you have come into my net this morning. One of you has beaten me, but I'm still on the search for your cousin, the mirror. So, if you could go and tell him or her to eat my boilie, that'd be great. Beautiful. Right then, let's get you back. The swim I've chosen as a platform in it, I sense there's quite a few fish down this dam end, and there's a big weed bed directly in front of me. I could fish out into the main void of this area of the lake, but I don't really want to span lines all across it. I want fish to feel comfortable travelling down the lake on this wind that's been blowing and feel comfortable in the area. So I'm actually using the weed in front of me as a little bit of a shield for my line. I'm going to cast down to my left. There's a reed bed there and it just pokes out slightly, and the bottom there's a little bit firmer. I can present a bottom bait there, that's how clean it is. And instead of casting over the weed, I'm going to run down alongside it so it's camouflaging my line. So hopefully when a carp comes in, it'll come into the main area, move into the vegetation, feel totally secure, won't sense that I'm there, maybe poke its head out, come onto the slope that I'm fishing to where the reeds are, and hopefully suck in my hook bait and give me a run. If a fish ever summed up an estate lake, this big old golden sovereign certainly does that. That's it. Fantastic fish. Not a mirror, but I'm not complaining. Hell of a fight. It actually jumped into the landing net at the later stages. So, yeah, beautiful fish. I'm going to put the rod back out, but if I don't get a bite in the next hour or so, light's coming up now, then I might go on a little wander and see if I can find a fish up in the shallows. But for now, it's been a fantastic morning, and they don't come any better than that. As this wind started to blow, carp are moving down the pond, and by having tight lines out there over that weed, it would have just, well, you'd just be alerting them, you'd just be telling them you're here. Now they come into this big dam area, they're looking, they're suspicious, they know probably someone's about by the movement on here. I've kept it minimal but the platform, but they're looking for lines then. They come in, there's none. And my line is running down the marginal slope, down to that reed bed. So with heavy fluorocarbon, that's down. The last little bit has got a bit of ESP putty just above it around float stops. So that's pinned down, everything's hidden. And then the rig's basic, and that is what fishing's about. If you can get a fish not to suspect that it's being angled for, it's incredibly easy to catch. I think it's a bit bigger than I suspected. I honestly thought that was about 14 pound. It's a bit bigger than that, so I think I'm going to take it out of the bank and weigh it and just see how big these commons are. That's my second fish in this category, both absolutely stunning commons. In the upper 20 category, let's wet it all down. So it looks totally magnificent, as it is, as its home is. Look at that, upper 20 common, to follow his brother that I had a little while ago. I may be chasing a mirror, but if he don't come along, you can't be disappointed with fish like this. I can't complain with two classic estate lake commons, both upper 20s, magnificent creatures, big golden sovereign scales, overslung mouth for sucking up through all that silt, the bloodworm, lovely big pecs and an angry dorsal fin. They've always got an angry dorsal fin, wants to spike up all the time, probably not been caught for ages, and really indignant that I've managed to fool them. Just beautiful. I would describe them as angry creatures, and I certainly can't complain if that's all I catch. It's been marvellous, but I'm still hoping for that mirror. I'm always prepping spots, so I'm looking for areas where I think fish might feed, wandering up and down the bank, just dribbling in the bait, looking for signs. And as well, once we get to midday, I don't think there's much of a chance of a fish, and I'd rather bring my line in, I'd rather rest the area, I'd rather rest the whole lake. It just, everything calms down, the carp calm down, they get back to their natural routine. They get confident again. I'll put in some bait and hopefully they can have a feed while I'm not bothering them, build up their confidence, and by the evening I've got a chance of a bite again. If I carried on fishing, putting a line in the water, I might win one more bite, but I think it would cost me more the following morning. So in my mind, it's always good to harvest an area, rest it, take what you can out of it, rest it again. I wandered up and down the bank looking all afternoon, but nothing really. There was no signs to drag me away from the spot I was fishing. It felt the best and logical thing to do is stay in place. I brought the rods in. I was confident with my spot because I'd caught fish off of it. Just relax and enjoy the wonderful environment. Sat there sort of like just mulling away the afternoon. Yeah, getting ready for the night. Come night time, I topped up the swim again with a kilo of krill boilies. I was fairly confident when I cast out, it landed with a donk, and I'm sure the bottom had been cleaned off more. You can often feel during a session, it gets harder and harder, and I'm sure it was landed with more of a thud. And I was certain that fish had been feeding while I'd been resting it, so I went to bed pretty confident. The bite I hoped for didn't come until just before first light. A one-toner, it screamed off. As always, in a panic, dived off my bed chair, grabbed my glasses, slipped my trainers on and run down to the rod. Felt a good fish straight away and it chugged around a lot. Got caught a couple of times in the weed beds. I wasn't going to put the head torch on, so I was just left in anticipation when it come into the net. What was it going to be? And I love that moment of reveal when you just wait there and think, is it a mirror? Is it a common? Flick the head torch on, it's a mirror. I was absolutely made up. I'd got the fish I wanted. This is what is so special about this place. Look at that. Oh, so wound up. Look at it. A magnificent, magnificent fish in water setting. Oh, thank you very much. Right. And what a beautiful fish that mirror was. It was really angry, bristling, lovely dorsal, beautiful big pecks. It wasn't too heavily scaled, but it had a lovely bronze flank with a slight purple hue to it. Absolutely gorgeous. It's just what I'd hoped for. Well, with everything on the barra, I was a happy man. But I had to have one last look. And suddenly, the second spot I'd been priming sprung into life. Bubbles everywhere, a jacuzzi. What is a man meant to do? I had to have one last cast. Come on, in you come, baby. Oh, my net's stuck on something. Yes, it's in. I hoped for one, and I got two. Look at that. Chestnut flanks, big old scales, at a wonderful estate lake. Probably as old as the hills. Fantastic fish. I'm just made up. Can't end any better than that. But it's the time to put you back, and it's time for me head to home. I can't wait to return. And you're going home.